Welcome to I24 News Sports Weekend Edition with some of the best stories from the world of sports. We begin with the Bundesliga, which returns to action this weekend. It was not too long ago when this was the most entertaining league in Europe, with different teams winning the championship every year. Well, the entertainment may still be there, but we have not seen a real fight for the championship in the past 3 years. The Bundesliga has now completely become the Bayern Munich show. Will the upcoming season once again be an easy run for the Bavarians, or will someone else step up to prevent them from winning their fourth successive title? Michael Friedman tries to answer.
The 2015-2016 Bundesliga campaign will focus on Bayern Munich eyeing a historic fourth consecutive title, Wolfsburg aiming to triumph over the champions, and Borussia Dortmund hoping to go back to winning ways after a disastrous season. Bayern Munich are the big favorites once again to triumph in Germany after another impressive year. Pep Guardiola's side looks to have gotten even stronger during the summer, and perhaps the biggest signing of the current transfer window thus far in Germany was Arturo Vidal, who moved from Juventus to Bayern Munich for 37 million euros. And the player is extremely excited to play for the German champions.
I fulfilled my dream. Many years have passed during which I played professional football, and now a dream has come true. I signed with a big club like Bayern Munich. I'll play as best as I can, and I want to win titles. That's the most important thing for me.
While the Bavarian side are the team to beat, Wolfsburg are inclined to topple the champions. The team already proved to be a force not to be overlooked after beating Bayern on penalties in the German Super Cup. And with stars like Kevin De Bruyne and Andre Schürrle, the team might have a chance of competing for the title.
Our plan is to keep our players here, and that is not just the case for Kevin De Bruyne, but also for Ivan Perisic, Bas Dost, for Ricardo Rodriguez, etc. These are all names which have been named by other clubs and for whom there has been speculation.
And next, we look at Borussia Dortmund, who will have a fresh start to the season with new manager Thomas Tuchel, looking to overcome the shadow of the former boss Jurgen Klopp. The black and yellow fans will be eagerly anticipating the return to the top and for the club to be consistently strong throughout the season. As each Bundesliga side hopes to prevail this season in Germany, it is clear that once again Bayern Munich will be the team to beat.
And Michael joined me here in the studio. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. So I have to say that the Bundesliga to me is depressing. I mean, there's offensive football, good-looking football, nice and huge and colorful crowds. On the other hand, the real competition starts in second place, and you said it yourself. The biggest transfer is again Bayern Munich bringing Arturo Vidal from Juventus.
Yes, unfortunately, despite the Bundesliga having less competition, year after year, we're seeing Bayern Munich, dominating, especially these last 3 years. There is still some excitement. We had last year a weekend with 38 goals. So
you don't think it's very depressing?
Not so depressing, but it's definitely not my favorite of the leagues. But I can tell you this, that Bayern Munich, they've shown that they are the team at the top, and without anyone competing against them, we don't really have as much excitement or as much of a reason to watch them week after week.
Now, Bayern Munich are, of course, the favorites, and yet, even if they win the championship, even if they win the double, if they don't go past the semifinals of the Champions League, where they lost in the last 2 seasons to Barcelona and Real Madrid, if they don't go past that, it may be a bit of a problem for Pep Guardiola, because let's remember his contract expires next summer.
The Champions League is the holy grail. It's the most important thing for club football. And for Pep Guardiola, he's won it before with Barcelona, but he hasn't done it with Bayern. So that's something that he's gonna try and prove that he can do. He's won almost everything there is at the club, and he's a remarkable coach. And I don't think that he has much to worry about getting sacked or anything of that nature. But it is a sight that he's going to strive for, because without the Champions League there, it's as if, what did he really accomplish?
Now, the best team in Germany last season, apart from Bayern Munich, was Wolfsburg. Beautiful football. They beat Bayern Munich 4-1. They won the cup. On the other hand, we know big offers are coming for the stars. Kevin De Bruyne, for example. As big as Wolfsburg is, if a big offer comes, they'll have to let those players go.
It's the disease of football. If a club's doing well, they find the top striker, the top star, and all the other clubs are going after them. We see, Robert Lewandowski, he left from Dortmund to go to Bayern. And now with Wolfsburg, they have a lot of talented players. Kevin De Bruyne, he's already being linked with a lot of money with Manchester City. So it's something that we want to see a Wolfsburg of this team to keep their players because we want the competition. We want to see a good Bundesliga season with their chance of maybe toppling the champions.
And shortly about Dortmund, maybe the one good thing about the terrible season they had last year, they'll not have to face that disease. They lost Mario Götze, they lost Lewandowski. This time they lost almost no one.
Thankfully, this is a new year, a new season. Marco Reus, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, they're all staying. This is something that's going to be good for them, a new revival, a new manager. So I hope for their sake that they can prove to be what they used to show and maybe, you know, once again, be the favorites.
So the Bundesliga resuming this weekend. Michael Friedman, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Now moving to the Rio Olympics, which are less than a year away, and if we believe the organizers, they will be able to overcome all the obstacles still remaining and put on a marvelous show in the Cidade Maravilhosa, the marvelous city. The problem is, there are always those who have to pay the price. In this case, it's those who live in the favelas, Rio's notorious impoverished neighborhoods. Many of them had to clear out and make way for the Olympic festival.
It's a tale of two Rio de Janeiros. On one side, the construction site of the world's largest athletic event. On the other, a small slum demolished to make way. Vila Autodromo used to be a proud but impoverished favela built on an abandoned motor racetrack. Today, it's rapidly reducing to rubble as building races to finish the Olympic village ahead of next year's Summer Games. A year from the event, local authorities have relocated almost all the residents, but a handful continue the fight to stay on.
The Olympics are not the reason we're getting kicked out. Real estate is. Because we know that in the future, once the Olympic Games are over, this will be a neighborhood with shopping centers and big buildings. It'll be a posh area.
The fight for Vila Autodromo started over 20 years ago. Back then, local authorities deemed it an environmental and aesthetic nuisance. By the time Rio started bidding for the Olympics, the residents knew their time was counted. Mayor Eduardo Paes argues the slum blocks access to the Olympic village for the tens of thousands of visitors expected to commute there next year. Altair Guimarães, who heads the Residents' Association, says he's losing hope.
It's hard, really hard, because this isn't a fight between equals. It's a fight between a residents' association and capitalism, a fight against big money.
Most families have accepted compensation and relocated to brand new housing 1 kilometer away. Many say they were reluctant to leave Vila Autodromo, but now praise their new surroundings.
I have a better quality of life and better health, since over there I had problems because of the mosquitoes and the lack of sewers. Today the school is a lot closer and we have transport. I prefer living here much more than there.
Authorities claim only the 3,000 residents of the favela suffered direct losses because of the Olympics. But rights groups tell a different story. According to their studies, as many as 67,000 people have lost their homes because of the works leading up to the big event.
The issue of doping seems to be constantly on the agenda now again due to the latest controversy surrounding the IAAF, which came at the worst possible time, just ahead of the Athletics World Championship set for the end of the month. Performance-enhancing drugs basically increase the amount of red blood cells, leading to better performance. Well, maybe there is a way to get the same results in a natural way, without the need for any illegal substance.
It's a hot topic in the world of sports. Does living at high altitude increase performance and act as a natural and legal alternative to doping? To find out, this group of Norwegian athletes is spending a month high up in the French Alps.
At high altitude, there's less oxygen. The body responds by producing more red blood cells which transport it. So the idea is that when you are in high altitude, you will be oxygen deprived and therefore produce more red blood cells. Even after your return from altitude training, you will keep those cells for some time. Until the surplus wears off, you have a window for improved endurance.
Avant que cet excédent disparaisse, et on a une fenêtre où on est plus endurant.
Scientists have researched the effects of altitude on performance since the late 1960s, but results have been patchy and controversial. In this latest experiment, the young athletes spend most of their days at 2,200 metres, equivalent to the highest mountain back in Norway. And they can already feel the impact.
My pulse is really much higher. I feel that I'm getting exhausted a little bit faster, so it's important to go a little bit slower than normally.
A control group is undergoing the same program, only at a lower altitude. Everybody has constant medical checkups, including giving blood samples. Researchers hope that the direct comparison between the two groups will settle the question. But not everyone believes that altitude training is all that it's made out to be.
I don't expect much of an increase in red cell mass at altitude, at this altitude, if at all. So I don't expect there to be a great difference, if at all, in terms of performance between the altitude group and the sea level group here in Chamonix either.
After a month, the athletes return to Norway to undergo a battery of tests on their oxygen intake and blood cell count. Results are expected next year, when athletes will find out whether their most promising future involves living the high life.
Motogp now, and just 6 weeks ago, Marc Marcuez seemed to be completely out of the race for the championship after his terrible start of the season. But things have now changed for the 22-year-old world champion. His second win and third podium in a row give his fans a bit of hope. Michael Friedman with a story.
The Grand Prix in Indianapolis was a battle with all of the drivers looking to move up in the overall standings and enhance their ranking. Marc Marquez entered the race in pole position but would find himself going against the fierce Jorge Lorenzo. The two drivers went back and forth, taking the lead, and each one doing everything in their power to try and catch up with the top rider Valentino Rossi in the overall standings. The two riders were neck and neck for most of the race, and with 3 laps left, Marquez passed his fellow Spaniard on the inside entering the turn. Marquez would find himself in front from then on and take the final lap and the checkered flag. And he knew the victory took a lot of patience and focus.
From the beginning, I saw that, we will push last laps because it was impossible to open a gap. So I wait until the end, and then when remain 3 laps, I passed him, then I did a little bit of strategy, and then last lap I pushed a little bit more.
Marquez continued his brilliant form at this historic track after winning his 3rd straight victory in Indianapolis. The 2-time defending world champion also maintained his unbeaten record in the United States and earned an important 25 points from the win. After 10 of the 18 races, the Honda driver is still aiming to reclaim the MotoGP World Championship. The current standings have Valentino Rossi on top with 195 points, followed by Jorge Lorenzo with 186 points. Marc Marquez with 139, and in 4th place, Andrea Iannone with 129 points. It was all celebrations for Marquez after claiming his 3rd victory of the season.
And joining me here in the studio is our Culture Show host and MotoGP expert, Oded Grober. Hi, Oded. Thank you for coming.
Hello.
So I want to ask you, if we look at Marquez, the first 7 races of the season, he won once and had 1 other podium. That's it. Then all of a sudden, he came back, 2 wins in a row, 3 podiums in a row. What happened?
Well, okay, you know, the beginning of the season for Marquez was a problematic beginning, no question about that. But it wasn't that he was slow. His main issue were the 3 races that he didn't finish. That's why he's so behind. Now, he was driving fast. He just wasn't feeling comfortable on his new bike, and that's why he couldn't finish those races. Now, not long ago, he switched back to the 2014 chassis, and you can see the change. And, you know, I mean, he can win races. He's back on form, and he's definitely showing it.
Confidence is there, no doubt about it. Now, as good as Marc Marquez may be, he has to close nearly 60 points from Valentino Rossi. Rossi, so far 10 races, has not missed the podium even once.
That's true.
So still, there are a lot of points to grab. Is it still open?
It's definitely open, no question about it. If you remember last year, Marquez began the season with 10 consecutive wins.
Consecutive wins?
Yeah, so if he does that with these next 8 races that are left, and 8 races, a lot of races, because the difference in points, I mean, the first place gets 25, then 20, then 16. So there are 9 points between 1st and 3rd. So if Marquez continues being 1st and Rossi continues being 3rd, those points, that point gap will be gone by the end of the season. Right now, of course, Rossi is focused more on Lorenzo and Rossi, but they're definitely feeling the heat from Marquez.
And now we don't have to wait a lot of time for the next race. It's this weekend in the Czech Republic. Marquez wins again. That puts a lot of pressure on Lorenzo and Rossi.
Yeah, it's, as we said, right now it's between Rossi and Lorenzo. Marquez is definitely involved there, and he's gonna catch up by the end of the season. We're gonna have a very interesting end of the season. Also, someone to watch out for is Danny Pedrosa, who's catching up with all of them, and maybe he can't win the season, but he can definitely
take points from others.
Exactly, get on the podium here and there. Interesting. Awesome season.
So much to look for at the end of the season. Oded Grober, thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure.
And that's it for this edition. Don't forget you can watch this and every other show on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your weekend.